Okay, so fuck yes, welcome to the Hyper Deal. As always, not Jonathan Hardesty because he had a baby. So congratulations to Jonathan Hardesty. Yay!
Bye, John.
Bye, John. Forever. Even though he already has a baby and has been on since he's had one. Still.
Bye, John.
Yeah, but two babies.
Bye forever. And now I can turn on Chewie so she can say hello.
Hello.
She is. We also have Emily Blake.
Hi.
And then special guests this week, we have Grimm and Danielle Mason.
Hello.
You did change your last name, correct? You did on Facebook.
Unofficially, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In progress. Buffering.
Yeah, I'm basing off Facebook. So we've had them both on pre-marriage, actually pre-dating, and now they've started dating and gotten married, and wow.
Yeah.
Yay.
I just don't feel like you need to take away your name because you're Danielle Dutton. I mean, alliteration, Graham. You can't take alliteration away from a woman.
How dare you, Graham?
How dare you, you fucker.
You're taking her identity and her alliteration. It's all over for you. And now Chewie's not allowed to speak unless Brian says so. What's happening?
That's Chewie's fault, and she knows why.
It's true. And I want to eat more.
Yeah, no.
Fine.
I have to turn you off again. All right, we're going to do a Where Have You Been Doing in just a moment. But first, I want to shout out a big thank you to Brad and Rod, who own our new recording location. I don't want to say the last names because I didn't ask before this, so I'll just refer to them as Brad and Rod.
Or Broad.
Or Broad.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that
great.
works too.
That's
I like
a great
that.
couple name.
Yeah.
Do
Broad.
people call them that? Because they should.
They really should.
They usually say
No,
Brad
no
got
one
a
does
hot
that.
rod.
Or
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of this is great stuff. But it is very nice of them that they're lending us their garage to record, which is pretty awesome.
So that you guys can have a room for your baby.
Yes, because our room turned into a nursery. So until the time being, this is where we record, which means nothing to anyone listening, but is very awesome for us.
Yeah. Might sound different acoustically if
yeah.
for those fine-tuned listeners.
There
Yeah,
might
if-
be a dog every now and then or something.
Yeah, or we're nearer to a freeway, so you might hear a little bit of... Yeah. Fuck you. Yeah. That stuff might all happen now.
But we're also on a really nice, quiet street on the other side.
That's true. So there might be none of that. Who knows?
So on the left side, you won't hear
Yeah.
that. But on the right side, you'll certainly hear some traffic.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I took that much time to do that in post.
Brought to you by 5.1 Surround.
Yeah, in your car. Okay, so we'll move into where we've been doing. I'll go first. I went and saw Ready Player One. And I would say I got as much enjoyment out of it as I did the book, which is both a good thing and a bad thing.
Wow.
Yeah, like it is. I walked away with the exact same feelings. And like the book has some amazing moments in it, and the movie has some amazing moments in it, and then they both have some like, and they both nail both of those.
You take out all the nostalgia, and honestly, it's not much.
Yeah, I did not like it. I did love the book. I listened to the audiobook with Will Wheaton reading, which is great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I feel like you get a different read of it with Will Wheaton reading it to you.
Oh, for sure.
Because Danielle actually lent me the book back in the day, and that's how, and it was like,
We still have it.
oh, wow, there's a text message. But yeah, like I think we still have her copy of
We
it.
do.
Which is
It's
awesome.
in the nursery right now.
Yeah. I
So the
assume
baby will read it.
I assume we're gonna do an episode about it. So
We most definitely will at
All
some
right,
point.
I'll save all my feelings. I have a lot of feelings
Uh,
and thoughts.
Yeah, it was just. I enjoyed it for what it was. I had higher expectations of it because I think all the reviewers said it's like the new Spielberg bar. Like it's
That's
the best thing he's ever done in like the past decade. I'm like,
Wow.
Silly.
I mean,
very
That's
silly.
a big statement.
yeah, I know, and it's like, well, I
And,
haven't
like,
really
in the
liked
past
any of his movies in the
decade.
past
That's a good
decade,
point.
so maybe it is.
Oh,
but
yeah, fair.
Is
I
my
mean-
mic back on?
yeah, you're just a little
I can hear
quiet.
you.
I'm not.
You just haven't been talking because Brian didn't give
Am
you
I
the go
better?
ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're fine.
I just feel so quiet.
Then speak up.
I am trying to, but I don't want to have to yell the whole time.
Oh, you're so loud right now.
Nasty woman.
Someone's eating carrots in my head.
I could start eating chocolate-covered raisins.
Please
Those are a
don't.
little quieter.
But I'll stop talking about Ready Player One so you can go.
God.
Are you watching Grimm?
Yes.
Or a Law and Order, or
What's Chewie going to talk about this week? Grimm or Law and Order?
we're skipping Chewie and going on to Emily.
I rewatched Legion season 1 in preparation for season 2, and it's still amazing. And I love this show so much because I'm not usually into weird shit, and it's kind of weird, but it's weird with a purpose. Like every unusual shot is there to make you feel a certain way. So it's so carefully thought out and beautiful, and the performances are amazing. Aubrey Plaza, of course, kills it, and and watching it now that I know where things end up, I'm seeing things I didn't see before, and I have a new theory that's based on. I'm absolutely convinced that.
It's a Flight of the Conchords spinoff.
What?
It's a Flight of the Conchords spinoff.
No, but I now have a theory about some of the character relationships. I don't want to spoil anything, or if I'm right, I don't want to like make anybody feel weird about the show, but I'm absolutely convinced I'm right though. After watching the show a second time and going, oh, you see certain reactions from people that I didn't notice the first time around to things that, and so I think it's definitely rewatchable, and I love it. And I haven't started season 2 yet because I wanted to finish season 1 again first so that could be fresh in my mind. It's such a great show. Whenever anybody asks me if I may have mentioned this before, whenever anybody asks me if I've like working in TV and film makes me lose the magic, I use Legion as one of my examples, because I feel like just watching the way they do things is really cool, but also the fact that we have so many superhero movies and TV shows and stuff out there now that you can have a show like Legion or a movie like Logan, that it doesn't all have to be big budget stuff. Is just sort of one of the coolest things. Everybody's like, I'm sick of superhero movies, and it's like, well, yeah, but the fact that we have so many means that the ones we have don't have to fit a particular mold anymore.
Yeah,
I think it's really cool.
That's why I was really excited for New Mutants, but it sounds like they're just ripping that thing to shreds, so it's kind of too bad. Danielle, what about you?
I watched the Spanish horror movie Veronica. It's on Netflix. It's being heavily marketed as the scariest movie ever, which is not true. But it's very, very good and definitely worth a watch. It reminded me, we were talking about Ready Player One, and it reminded me of feel like the kids in it, because it heavily relies on child acting. They get a little bit of the Spielberg treatment, and I say that meaning it reminded me a lot of Poltergeist.
Okay.
Not the story, not the plot, not anything besides they have some really human moments that actually work. And I feel like horror movies don't get that very often nowadays. It's coming back, I feel. The kind of maybe slow burn, slower paced horror movies that are actually, I guess, a little more human and thoughtful. And I really, really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it. Just don't go in expecting it to be the scariest movie ever in the universe. You will be disappointed.
Well, I feel like that review for any movie now doesn't work if you like horror movies.
Yeah, especially, I mean, as I didn't want to look up the plot or anything before watching the movie, but I definitely looked it up, see what's the score on Rotten Tomatoes? Yep. I really want to know if it's worth watching. And then you see, everyone's saying it's the scariest movie ever on Netflix. I'm like, please don't tell me that before I watch something. It's not something that I want to hear.
Yeah, it's like when everyone said that It Comes at Night was so scary. I'm like, it's not even a horror film.
No.
Like it's basically
it's a thriller.
It's like a play thriller, like not even remotely a horror film. Yeah. But
I have high expectations for A Quiet Place.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah. What was the name of yours again?
Veronica.
Graham, what about you?
After that, we watched Ravenous.
Oh.
It's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Not that Ravenous.
I was
But there's another Ravenous?
Yeah, so it's a new, I think it's Canadian zombie horror.
Oh.
It's okay.
You should have just turned it off and turned on the other Ravenous, which is amazing.
Just start screaming,
so it came
Boyd!
It came out, I think 2017 or before that. But pretty recently, and I was like, oh my god, Danielle saw it, and I was like, interesting, because I know we watched that Ravenous,
the good one,
and I was like, is that a remake, or what? So I was kind of interested, but no, it's entirely different, not related at all.
They
but
stole the title and thought that people would mistake it for the good one.
Yeah. It's pretty standard zombie. It's interesting, given a kind of a French-Canadian, slower European style to it, but yeah, it's got all the same stuff. And that's pretty much it.
It sounds really disappointing.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that
Brian
out
and I
there
make
so
a
nobody
movie
else
and people go,
wastes
nah.
it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expect. Yeah, you guys heard the good news. That movie you recommended me that I hated, but you guys really liked, is getting a spin-off and a sequel, right?
What movie is that?
Pontypool.
that
way.
movie was so good, though.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Really?
But I
Brian did not enjoy. I didn't
Wonderful
watch it.
news.
did not like that one at all. But it's getting a spin-off and a sequel.
Pontypool.
So other people liked it.
Yeah, so I'm in the minority of that one, and that's fine. You guys can all like your shitty radio zombie movie, and I'll
Well,
go
then maybe you'll
other
like
good movies.
Ravenous. Go for it.
There's always a chance. Okay, so we're gonna what?
My where have I been doing?
Oh yeah, I thought you were just
Oh, yeah.
skipping
No.
you.
Did
Okay,
you
we're
watch?
coming back.
Did you watch the other Ravenous?
No,
If you say Law and Order or Grimm, I'm going to flip out.
I'm not because well, it's true. I've just been watching. Law and Order hasn't put a new
Oh my
episode
God.
up for a while. But I've been mostly watching Grimm and Bob's Burgers on repeat because I've been trying to stay busy now that I am not working and I'm feeling just kind of crazy. But the other thing, I've been watching more trailers, and there's 3 trailers that have been very interesting lately. The trailer for Future World, which Brian's really excited about.
They pulled that trailer though, so you can't watch it anymore.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Apparently, the response was so negative that they're like, we gotta rework this.
It didn't look good at all. I'll talk about it in a second. And then I'm excited for the trailer or the movie Reboot. I showed that to Brian yesterday, and he was just like, I don't know what to think of that.
Based
I'll
on the
see it.
TV show.
No.
And then the other one is Under the Silver Lake, which is the one that I'm the most excited, and like it looks awful.
Yep.
Looks so good.
It
And
does
bad.
not.
Oh yeah, but it's so good.
It's from the guy that did It Follows, which I really enjoyed. It
good.
Follows. And then I watched the trailer for Under the Silver Lake, and I'm like, oh no, he's going full Southland Tales. It's just like the guy who did Donnie Darko, where they all said he was the new voice in horror, and then he decided, you know what, instead of a horror movie, I'm gonna make a surrealistic, absurd movie about LA. Like, that's not what people wanted.
Nobody wanted that.
Nobody. People who live in LA don't want that.
Yeah.
People who live outside of LA really don't want that.
The people
And-
who are in it might watch it.
Watch the trailer
Maybe.
for Under the Silver Lake. Just so you know, there is a neighborhood called Silver Lake. And it's about a guy played by Andrew Garfield who is a under his luck loser who lives with his mom and was leering at a girl in a pool, and the girl thought that was charming. And then he falls in love with her, and then
Wait,
she
is that not charming?
No. And then
No
she
wonder I was single in high school.
and then
Just
she
leering.
mysteriously disappeared, and then the rest of the trailer shows him going through this weird underbelly of secret societies in Los Angeles and how they have a secret code, and he has to go through all this to find out where she went because she was truly meant for him.
At some point, does somebody go, she's been dead for 15 years?
Maybe. And I'm just watching this trailer going, oh no, someone really likes David Lynch and really wanted to try that.
Oh, man.
We should just watch The Beyond again. That'd be better.
But I'll see it in the movies. Brian said he doesn't want to see it with me.
No, because I actually thought it looked fun. And you're like, it's so stupid. I'm like, okay.
But also Reboot. I'm really excited for Reboot. Reboot looks like just a crazy balls to the wall thing about a guy whose girlfriend got murdered. I think girlfriend or sister. Some girl in his life got murdered by some people. And he was a quadriplegic, and he wants his revenge. So he gets this guy to put this computer chip in the back of his, in his spine behind his neck, and it turns out to be an AI that can give him these superpowers similar to the Matrix, you know, where he can do anything. And it's all about him getting his revenge and fighting while the computer controls his movements.
Wasn't that also kind of the plot to Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock?
Kind of. I like it when at the end of the trailer
8 arms,
he
it's different.
pins
Yeah.
somebody down and like, did you not know I was also a ninja? And then the computer in his head goes, I am state of the art. I am not a ninja.
Can we just find a reason for someone to seek revenge that doesn't involve their like love of their life getting murdered?
No.
We
No,
find
there's no other
any
reason for
other
revenge.
reason.
It's either the love of your life
Their
getting
puppy.
murdered or it's about you getting raped.
yeah.
That's
What a-
revenge movies, guys.
Okay, there's been a dog that was murdered. That one spawned 2
Yeah, that's
movies
true.
worth
That
of
was
revenge.
rad.
But that was about the fact that the dog represented the love
His
for his
dead
wife.
Fuck!
Damn.
Well, I guess John Wick sucks. Who knew? Do you want to talk about the third one, or should we move into today's episode?
The third trailer of the Future World one.
You don't want to see Future World?
That movie, I mean, it looks like James Franco just had a lot of money and went, I want to make a Mad Max movie with my friends.
I want to make Mad Max. What one of my female friends will be in this movie? None of us. Millie Jovovich.
And then this blonde chick who's going to be a blonde and blue-eyed robot who's malfunctioning and suddenly finds her humanity, and she's doing this sexy walk while she's destroying everyone. Like, you watch that trailer and it's like, all right, you did a good job with that one take, but when you're walking between dudes that you're beating up, can you just do more like hip thrusts to the side?
Like,
Be sexier.
Basically, we want you to
thrusts.
we want you to dislocate your hip in every
can
step.
you do that? Sexy walk. You're a sexy robot who's dysfunctional.
Yeah, the movie looks awesome. It also looks like, James Franco directed it. Like, it's like, what the fuck is this?
It's totally. It looks like how they tell us that our childhood films were fueled by cocaine. Like, that's the feeling I got.
Yep. I have about $20 million and 3 pounds of cocaine. Let's make a movie.
Let's make a movie.
3 pounds really wouldn't go that far, but that doesn't matter.
Especially not with that crowd.
Not with that crowd, yeah.
Oh, and
If it's just James Franco, it might last him a couple hours.
Snoop Dogg's is a role in it too.
Yep.
He's multiple moments
good.
in the trailer.
And Lucy Liu, don't forget about her.
Yeah,
That's
She's
pretty
there, too.
cool.
Yeah.
Those are cool people.
Got
I
a
like
good
them.
cast. I'm sure they're all high.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Snoop Dogg, no way.
He's got kids now.
Yeah.
He's
The
not-
guy,
Oh, yeah.
The guy who refuses to allow fake marijuana on his set. Yeah, that guy was
Yeah,
definitely
we got
sober.
really mad about that. That one movie I did with him.
Should we not name it?
No.
Okay. Anyone who's really curious can do a little bit of like research into IMDb. They'd figure it out real fast. I think you've only worked on one thing with him.
It's true. He's very tall, but he's a very nice guy.
Are you CHEWIE on IMDb?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
I'm CHEWIE everywhere.
All right.
Except for the government, which is changing soon.
That's changing. We've paid for it. We're on
We
our
did.
way.
Yay.
Okay, we're gonna move into our movie for today, which is Shape of Water.
Water.
Yeah. So this movie came
The
out.
sound of water? Is what that was?
That's the shape of water.
This movie came out last year. It won Best Picture. Everybody's really aware of it. It did very well, so I don't want to go through the numbers. I do want to read a review today because I love doing user reviews. It's like my favorite thing ever. And this week, I was so fortunate to find a professional reviewer that was as dumb and hateful as the fans. And I was like,
cool.
this is so cool. I'm excited to read this one. This one's from The Observer. It comes from Rex Reed. Here we go. The more I try to find some kind of justifiable meaning and reverence, the more I find The Shape of Water a loopy, lunkhead load of drivel. Not as stupid and pointless as the other critically overrated piece of junk, Get Out, but determined to go down trying. I call this one Maudie Meets the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and they gave it 1 out of 4 stars.
Wow.
Wow, I don't think this guy likes any sort of movie that
He
doesn't involve
doesn't-
white men.
He doesn't seem to like movies.
Yeah.
Is a white man not the main character? No.
A female and a fish man? Get the fuck out of here. Well,
Get
okay.
out. I don't like movies where white people look bad.
Yeah. It's about time. Okay. So that was our review for today. So clearly everyone hated it. Right?
Yeah, that's basically my
Right?
feelings.
Yeah. Right? That tracks?
What do I hate in this movie?
I didn't
The fingers?
love it as much as I
God.
had hoped. Oh, that was so disgusting.
Yeah, I don't like the fingers. It was a very good. I'll talk about it then.
Yeah, we'll get there because first we have to do a breakdown.
Oh yeah.
Breakdown.
Breakdown.
All right. I'm excited for Brian to do a
breakdown.
breakdown. Breakdown Brian.
This week coming to you from Graham Mason. Graham T. Mason, if you will.
We don't have to.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So here it is. The Shape of Water in 30 seconds. Here we go. Go, 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 go.
Yeah, it's basically your woman meets creature from the Black Lagoon, falls in love with creature from the Black Lagoon, tries to break the creature from the Black Lagoon out of a lab,
It stopped.
and then escape into the river. That's it. They live happily ever after. So
I mean, I guess I'll say that's okay.
it's a love story.
Yeah, sure.
And he
why
turns
not?
her into a fish.
She was a fish the whole time.
Yeah.
Or was she a fish the whole time?
Oh shit.
Didn't you look up her name? Doesn't it mean like
No,
Fisher?
it doesn't mean fish
Okay.
the whole time.
doesn't it mean fish the whole time?
Wow, that's a strange name.
Yeah, I'll I'll give although I would give you a solid D for your enthusiasm.
Yeah,
your
Graham,
your
come
quality
on.
was there. So
Well,
I'll give it.
I was also kind of confused on when recording was starting. And
Well,
when
we're
I
recording
should
the whole
go
time, but the
and
camera died.
and-
Yeah, the camera
so
just-
Well, the camera didn't die, the recording stopped, so the disc is too full.
what a bummer.
So
next
Week I will
3
plan
weeks.
better.
John,
3
please
weeks
come
from
back.
now, we will have a,
John's not coming
video.
back.
John's never coming back.
John's lost to us.
Yeah, starting with our next week's episode, we do have a new co-host starting until John does come back. So, but that's next week's problem. I think we should talk about Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
So, I just want to do a hot take around the table. Do people think this one, out of the movies that were up, deserved Best Picture? Was this your winner of the year? For me, it was a hard fucking yes, because I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of the movies that were up this
Remember
year.
all the movies that were up?
I would have picked Get Out. I did pick Get Out in my pool.
Was Get Out up?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Get Out, Shape of Water.
I would have picked
Both
Get Out. for
very
sure.
solid choices.
No.
Yeah, wasn't Dunkirk?
Dunkirk was up, yeah.
Yeah.
You go more Dunkirk?
Yeah.
Where'd you land, Danielle?
I forget who won everything.
This one won Best... I don't really care about the Best Picture part of it. This one Best Picture.
I probably would have said Dunkirk as well. I loved
Dunkirk?
it so much.
I love Dunkirk and Get Out. Like, don't get me like both phenomenal movies. I'm just such a Del Toro nerd that when it comes to that one, like I just immediately have a bias.
Yeah, for me it would be a cross between Shape of Water and Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed Get Out. There's lots of things amazing in Get Out, but it didn't give me the feels like Dunkirk did and made me... Well, I just swoon over Del Toro all the time.
No.
It's a bias.
The
It's
both
a
of you?
bias.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem. Like for me, it's like I rate everything as how does it compare to Del Toro? It's like, oh, Del Toro, he's phenomenal. So
And I actively try to mirror our life after Del Toro. Like,
yeah,
I know it's taking a long time. Slowly, decor-wise, I'm turning our apartment into Del
Yeah,
Toro
the
place.
the weird fawn makeup and the headdress you're wearing is very distracting.
it's just a Saturday outfit for her.
Like while watching this movie, there's this one wall in the main character's apartment that's got this beautiful blue against kind of a gray back, and it's just kind of rubbed on the wall. Like, I'm sure it's supposed to look like the paint is wearing off, but to me the texture is just so gorgeous. I'm like, okay, that's gonna be a splash wall in our future house someday.
Well, to really dive into this thing, I think the best place to start is with the man himself of Del Toro, because he really kind of has... Like, he has a real solid fan base of anything that comes out with his name attached to it. There is a good chunk of people that are going opening weekend no matter what. Chewie and I are probably in that crowd.
Yeah. And then before this movie, there was a big chunk of people that said they would never go to his movies. We've had
Yeah.
conversations with friends that said, I don't like Del Toro movies.
No, they all have their own like flavor to them. Like they are all like you could watch pretty much. I mean, some of them not so much, but a lot of them you can watch back to back, and they all kind of have the same air.
He's
to them.
obsessed with fish.
Yeah, he likes fish.
He likes water.
Yeah, he likes fish. He likes water.
Oh my gosh, if he did a crossover movie with
James Cameron.
James Cameron, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
And, like one of his fish people just swims up onto the Titanic. And like, oh,
There
oh,
would-
everyone, I will save you.
the amount of
holding the
ego in
necklace.
that room would just be too much.
There would be a lot. There would be even more underwater masturbation.
One of the things I respect about Del Toro is I watched
Hellboy.
fucking no, the Tom Cruise. It's got so many names. Live, Die, Repeat.
Oh,
but
yeah,
that's not
yeah.
the.
That's
Edge of
Del
Tomorrow.
Toro.
Edge of Tomorrow. There you go. And then I just watched the commentary, and then immediately after that, I watched Pacific Rim with commentary, and you could not get two more opposite directors. Like Doug Liman is just like, hey. What if we just do this crazy shit? Okay, let's do it. Let's fucking rewrites right now. Tomorrow we'll shoot a scene that wasn't in the script at all, and fuck it, we'll do it. And Del Toro's commentary is like, so now this particular shade of blue, I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
That's in this scene. I picked it because it represents blah blah blah, and I wanted this shade specifically. Like that's not me exaggerating. That is an actual thing. He actually picked a shade of blue for the
Yeah.
cockpit. So it's just so funny to think like these two dudes both made really great movies, but like one is just absolute chaos, and Del Toro is like meticulous to a fault.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the difference
He
between a
is a
director
visionary.
that really cares about mise en scène and one that doesn't.
Yeah, and it's not even anything against Doug Liman. I like Doug Liman
Yeah.
movies. Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
the
it's
one.
entertaining.
Yeah, like the one he has coming out with Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley. I'm like, fuck, that sounds awesome. I'm into that. I mean, it's a YA series, but whatever, I'll see it.
Yeah.
But like Del Toro, it's just like, yeah, you're going because you know every time you go, it's a whole package. Like even if you end up not liking the film, like I know Danielle didn't like Crimson Peak at all, but it's still like, neither did
It
Graham.
was still beautiful,
but it's
though.
just
I should
gorgeous.
have watched it with the sound off.
Yeah, like
And
even
the plot missing.
yeah,
Oh wait, no.
We're
it
not
was-
going.
Chewie's,
I will argue.
Chewie's gonna cut a bitch. But there's something about like the way he makes his films that like it's just it's different. It's more like tactile. Like you can everything feels real. Even like in a movie like Pacific Rim where it's 90% CGI, it's just got this real world building to it.
Yeah, and you can
For
see
me,
it, and it
for
comes
me,
off
it's
the
the
screen.
big difference between a director who just wants to make a fun movie and blow shit up, and then a director who's like, I want to make art. There's
Yeah.
a big difference between directors like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that fortunately Del Toro isn't the kind of director who's just like, I just want to make art.
He
you
does,
know,
though.
but he makes art that has a plot. You know,
Yeah.
which I appreciate.
It makes it entertaining and palatable.
Because I really hate movies that are just like, look how artsy I am for no fucking reason.
No, but
Yeah,
there,
I'm
that's
gonna
what I
hold
mean.
this
There's a
shot
difference.
for half an
There's-
hour. Good luck.
I'm not just saying
Malik.
that that's the type of director he is, but
Yeah.
there's good directors, bad directors who just want to make
Yeah.
art, where they just make
Malik.
egotistical pieces of
Wow,
crap.
we're really shitting on it.
I like some Malik things, okay?
no, yeah,
I do not. I do not at all.
But Del Toro, for me, is someone who understands the medium better than most directors.
Yeah.
He had to overcome a lot of stuff. He had to overcome not being a white guy, not even an American, and make it in America, making these movies. And he clearly grew up watching a certain brand of film that he wanted to reproduce in the future. And no one else is making the type of movies he is. There's so many... I can never gush over him enough. Like, I have the same feelings towards him that I almost have towards Zack Snyder, except he does tell better stories than Zack Snyder
He's
does.
significantly better than Zack Snyder.
Yes, well, a lot.
I know he's got a better repertoire for storytelling than Zack
He's
Snyder,
better.
but he has the passion and the need to create an image, which is just so much
yeah,
better
I
than
could-
other people.
Yeah, I could say that they probably have the same level of passion. It's just he knows how to articulate
Yeah.
his
I also
significantly better.
I also
Yeah.
think if anyone but
Communicate it to
Del
other departments. And
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah. I think if anyone but Del Toro had pitched this as a movie, it would have been like, what the no, fuck
Yeah.
you.
Well,
I
that's-
mean, I guess Splash is this movie,
Well,
but she looks human. So.
Yeah, and that one's more of a comedy. Like this one's not
Yeah.
really played for laughs. Like,
Atmosphere-wise and tone-wise and everything, they're so different. So
Yeah.
they hit
But-
different same plot beats, but they're not the same
yeah,
movie.
can you imagine walking into a pitch meeting and being like, so there's a fish and there's a deaf lady or a mute lady and they fall in love and they have sex and you just be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
In not so specific words, that was basically his logline pitch. Seriously,
Yeah.
to the cinematographer and anybody else. You're like, and then the cinematographer was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a Guillermo Del Toro movie."
I mean, that's the major thing with them. Then we'll start moving to the cast and whatnot. That I wanted to say is that if it was any other director, like there's something about the way he tells stories where they feel real. Because if you didn't buy into the world and the story, this movie's a joke. It's a
Yeah.
joke of
Yeah.
like let's watch that naked lady bang the naked fish man and and that's your movie.
Which is kind of funny. We were actually debating during the sex scene. We were like, that isn't plausible. Like, water wouldn't hold itself in that bathroom like that. And we're debating over whether water, but we're totally believing this fish man god creature having sex
That's
with a
because
woman.
fish men aren't real, but water is. So we understand how water works.
Okay, you don't know that fishmen aren't real. They could
Yeah.
be real
In
We're-
the Amazon.
In
I
the
mean, come
Amazon.
on.
I mean, I am glad to finally see a romantic relationship between a fish and a woman because for too long it's been like fish people are not seen as romantic leads.
Yeah.
And it's about time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
They needed the representation.
there's an entire genre in Asia
All right.
that I
and
think you're
moving
not
quickly
going
on,
to.
Dunkirk was great.
So Sally Hawkins in this movie. I'm only half joking. Sally Hawkins in this movie is fucking great.
Brian
She is
loves
incredible.
her.
I really do love Sally Hawkins. Like, I can't think of a movie that she's been in that I didn't at least enjoy her in.
If I ever met Sally Hawkins at a party before you, honey, I would have to go up to her and be like, just so you know, you don't know me or my husband, but you might get a bear hug later.
Yeah.
Like, just let it happen. He means well.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't think I would do that, but I mean, at least
You
we
would
warned
want to
her.
hug her.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
Did you see the James Corden thing she did?
No.
She was on James Corden and she was on a Tinder date and like he showed up as a fish person. And he was just like, she was like, I'm into it. And, was hanging out. And then at the end of the date, I think she ate her burger with a knife and fork, and he just goes, whoa, no, not okay.
Unacceptable.
That's me with people in pizza. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop it.
But there's much like I was saying about Del Toro with Sally Hawkins in this movie, it's another thing of like, this is such a ludicrous role for any actor to take. The fact that she took it and like really went in hook, line, and sinker, no pun intended. But it was like, it's important. It's the same thing that you were mentioning earlier, where it's like, if you didn't buy that she loved Doug Jones, like you wouldn't. The movie doesn't work. Like, you need to buy the relationship.
That's actually the biggest problem I have with this movie is I never bought it.
I bought it immediately.
I just felt like she gave him some eggs and let him listen to music. I guess I get why he's into her. I never really. She says, "Oh, he sees me." It's like, how do you know that? Because I mean, he's just like really appreciative that you're not treating him like dirt. How do you know he loves you? I just didn't. It didn't feel like it was earned to me.
I mean, there might be some Stockholm syndrome on his side.
Yeah.
I can see the love, just because. Yeah, she brings him food and stuff, but she's also the only positive interaction he has in this scenario. And for her, it's someone who's happy to see her every day, that doesn't like what she says, doesn't view her as lesser than in any sense. Which you get the sensation of other people viewing her as lesser than all the time. The people that don't talk to her, they only talk to Octavia. And that other girl that just calls her dummy the whole movie. And I'm like, she's a bitch.
Well, yeah, the thing is, the whole movie, with the exception of Richard Jenkins, who's also in his own personal hell, like, there's nobody who looks at her as a human. They look at her as disabled and
the help.
Yeah, and the help. So then she meets Fishman, who's basically just like, oh no, this is the greatest person I've ever known, and like immediately never even thinks about her as somebody who would be less than. So I'm not sure if maybe they spend a year in the water together and like, ooh, this isn't really working out.
Or maybe he gets her back. He gets her back home, and his sister's like, "What the fuck is this human bitch doing here?"
I'm just like,
Did you give another human gills? What the fuck? Like,
Stop
I
it.
really hope he changes
Speciesist.
her entire biology, because she's gonna get real cold.
yeah,
Oh,
real
that's
cold
a
and
good,
real
that's a really
pruny.
good point. And she also was like going to be able to swim like
But
super
he's a
slow.
god.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, they'll work it out.
But wait, was she a fish person the whole time?
No.
Because that's what I thought. Because she had the gills that he opened up.
But
They say
those
that
were
she-
supposed to be a childhood injury.
Yeah, she had a childhood
But
injury that made her
she
mute.
washed up on the shore of a river, or she was found there when she was a baby, and already had those 3 things on either side. And it doesn't show him being able to, I guess, perform miracles. What it shows is him being able to
Fix it.
heal.
repair.
Yeah. So
I think any bald man in
them.
America would yell, no, getting hair back is a miracle.
It's not a, yeah. I don't know.
Different brand of miracle.
But it would
He is a
also
god.
explain, because that's one thing, the timing of everything, it all seems to take place in about a week. And that's
Yeah.
very fast to go from meeting this
takes place
fish
in
man,
months.
feeding him an egg.
does?
This is a month's.
But with the
It felt like
Russians, on the rewatch, I was like, oh, this is happening tomorrow. This happens tomorrow. And even on the calendar, is she looking that far ahead?
I didn't catch exactly the date on the calendar at the beginning of the movie, but I know that in the actual
But by the
study
time she
thing,
meets
are you
him-
talking about her taking him? That
From
could
her
be a week.
meeting him,
Yeah.
from her,
Maybe. Let me
first
check.
coming in contact and actually giving him the egg, I feel like that's a week, possibly 2.
I mean, Pretty Woman
It's
took
not
place
supposed
over
to
a
be.
week,
It might
and we
feel
buy
that way,
it.
but I know
Yeah.
it's not
But
supposed
wait,
to be.
what about not the whole movie, but the point where she meets him to the time they have sex? I feel like that's a week. And that's very, very short amount of time. They didn't bond that much unless she was a fish person the whole time. And then they really do understand each other and have that immediate bond and
What?
see something in each other.
Okay.
I feel like
She
that's
says-
interesting. Oh, go
She
ahead.
says he sees me for what I really am. And I feel like there are a lot of clues in there. And when you talk about his use of color, her apartment is totally blue and green.
It's mostly green.
And they have the Art Deco waves all around her and the scales on the
Yes.
wall. Even her bathtub has the little sponge that looks like a little, like, I don't know,
the
sea
detail
anemone
they
thing.
put into her
I feel like
living
it's all
space
hints
is
that she's a
amazing.
fish person, because you go into her neighbor's house and it's not just the apartment style. He's got red and maroon all around him.
A lot of auburns and golds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel everything you're saying, But whether or not that equates her to actually being a sea person, I don't know.
Fish person,
I
please.
do. I
Yeah.
do.
Whatever.
Don't be rude.
River person, entirely different.
That's why we go with fish person. It's all inclusive.
Amazon ocean.
The first thing I get for calendar on line says September Tuesday the 18th. So I don't know if that one's the first time we look at the
18th.
calendar or whatnot, because she's supposed to let him go in November, I think.
But
It
that
said
is a good.
I think
or October.
October
I think it's
to
October 10th.
November.
So it's
the
probably
thing
at
is
least
open.
2
I think
months.
it was the 10th of some month.
October.
But that goes like that.
That
That
would
I
be,
think is a
like,
thing because like
3
Romeo and
weeks
Juliet takes
from the
place
very
over what, like
beginning.
3 days,
Yeah.
and you totally buy it.
Yeah.
They're
You're
both
like, oh my
human,
god, they're
though.
so in love, and then when you realize it's only been 3 days, you're like, oh my god, they're so stupid. And then like yeah, Pretty Woman takes place over a week. Pretty Woman is problematic, but it's still like you buy the relationship.
And then, of course, One Fine Day, right? Right? Nobody?
Oh,
George Clooney,
yeah,
right?
no, I saw that. I always remember the part where she
Buffer.
pulls out a kid's T-shirt out of her
Yeah.
purse and puts it on, and
I
I'm
don't
like,
even remember.
fuck you.
What is One Fine Day?
It's a wonderful movie. The whole love story takes place
I
over
enjoy it.
one fine day, though.
Because they accidentally swap cell phones, and then they have to get them back, and then they both have like kids. They're single parents,
Yeah.
and then she has a purse that's filled with like 8 million things, including a peanut butter and
Sounds
jelly
like
sandwich and a
exactly
child's T-shirt that she puts on and wears to work.
Sounds like the exact type of movie I would never watch.
Where does she work? A child's T-shirt
Factory.
factory.
She's like a I don't know, fucking lawyer or something.
I was gonna. It's like
Ah,
a woman in
that's
a
terrible.
'90s movie. She works at like an architecture firm or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, or advertising. Yeah, it's yeah.
I do have one friend that tells me she still has clothes from the 5th grade that fit her.
Oh, I
and
hate her.
Yeah, fuck her. I don't know why I really wanted to jump on that back one, but I did. All right, let's move into Richard Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Awesome.
Jenkins.
He's amazing. Like
He
this
makes
was
me
the
cry.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that
Yeah.
scene in the with the pie
That's
was
so sad.
That's not the part that makes me cry.
Oh.
It's
Scene with the
after
cat?
that when he goes to Sally and says, I realize now that you're the only thing in my life, so I'll do whatever you want me to. And I'm just, especially in the second rewatch, because I know she's going away.
When we watched that one again, I had like I flipped out over that scene. I think it's the strongest scene for his performance throughout the whole movie, and he's near flawless the whole way through. But that one scene, because he just got shot down by a guy that was flirting with him. Whether or not he knew he was flirting with him, he definitely was.
Yeah.
Came around the side of the counter, sat next to him, would just chat about the terrible pie he kept shoving down his throat. So when he finally I finally have someone I can connect with, got so harshly rejected. You can see when he's standing at the door, it's like you can tell 30 seconds before this or a minute before this, he was standing outside that door practicing getting that out without crying. And like you can just see that character just saying it over and over and over. And when he says it to Sally Hawkins' character, he breaks in like the last like 3 words. Like he just like it's like word vomit, like just get it out, get it out, get it out. And he just is trying. It's like just not quite there, and it's just heartbreaking to watch, but it's so good.
I kept thinking about my roommate's bi, and we were at Comic-Con this year, and he saw this guy, and he was just like, oh my god, he's so super cute. And we were in a line, so we kept snaking past him, and we kept seeing him. And he was like, oh, there goes that guy again. There goes that guy.
Male gay.
And I was just like, why don't you just start talking to him? And he stopped. And I was like, it's not that hard. I do it all the time. And he's like, let me stop you for a second. I don't know if he's interested in men. And if he's not, he might get super pissed. What's the worst thing that happens if you hit on a guy? Like, if they're gay, they'll be like, honey, I'm gay. But if I hit on a guy and they're not gay, they might beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, that's
and I
the
was
point.
just like,
Yeah.
that's something I
It's
just
risky.
don't consider.
Yeah.
Like, that's privilege. I just never thought about it that way. And I thought about that a lot during the scene, like watching this man take such a huge risk because he'd been given all these signs and then like being hurt like that. It must be really, really lonely.
Oh,
it must have
yeah.
been so lonely to
Yeah.
be gay in an era where, I mean, it's still hard, but like, it must just be constantly lonely if you either just embrace it and you're flamboyant and you don't give a shit, or you're alone all the time.
Yeah, and it's one of those things.
We
where
were-
if it's hard now, imagine what it was like then.
We
Like,
were
Yeah.
talking about when this movie takes place, and from what I was able to decipher, it's probably 1962, because they have the Southern riots on the television at one point, and then they have the speech from Kennedy, so he's still alive.
yeah,
So in 1962, this is pre-Stonewall riots. This is pre most of the revolution of the 60s. So yeah, being gay at the time, you could get murdered for just about anything.
yeah, yeah.
It really
Something to laugh
sucks.
about, but yes.
Yeah, it's and it's the thing is, like, when we were sitting there talking about it, like, I don't know. Do you guys think the waiter was gay and just hated himself for it?
I don't
Probably.
know. Again, there's not enough information for me to determine that.
No, I agree, but like just based on like the way he was with him, I agree with Emily. I actually think he probably was gay and just is.
I mean, it makes sense. He was
self-hater.
flirting with
Yeah.
him, and he thought it would never come to anything. He thought he could just flirt and never have to deal with
Yeah.
what came next. And when what came next was the sudden realization that, oh shit, this guy thinks I'm gay. Oh, I can't be gay because then everything's bad. He doesn't want to be lonely.
Yeah. And ultimately, it doesn't matter to the story. What mattered to the story was that he shot down Richard Jenkins' character. But I think,
And then was terribly racist.
and then was terribly racist the exact moment. He went into full like, I'm accepting and I'm a nice person, and to full the other way as like hard as he could.
Yeah, that's
and it's
right.
like, and I just like I see that sort of reaction. And it's like, oh, that's he's probably just trying to cover up, and like that doesn't make it okay by any means. But
No.
it's like I'm trying to think of like from like a director's standpoint, like would Guillermo Del Toro tell him you're a gay man who hates that he's gay, or you're just a really nice waiter who gave too many false signals,
Or you're a terrible person.
or you're just a terrible
I was kind
person.
of thinking at least he lucked out on not dating this asshole racist guy.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I think he's just a terrible person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Terrible
I mean,
person
he
who's
talks
good at his
about
job.
how he
Yeah.
has to play up and even do a fake accent. There's certain things that are expected of them being a franchise.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It seems like that's maybe around the first time when mom and pop shops started going away.
Yeah.
Franchises started becoming popular, and so you get this, I guess, act that you have to do.
Oh yeah.
Kind of. I mean, we both worked at Starbucks.
Yeah.
We know how that is.
I wasn't
Where-
very good at it, but yes.
It's a facade.
Where, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an act that he had to play, and I didn't get that he was gay at all. I felt that it was more something he was enjoying his job, I guess,
Yeah.
being an actor
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a teeny franchise of a pie shop. But that's it. That's an interesting theory, though.
I mean, it's possible to go either way, and like I said, it ultimately doesn't matter. I try to think about it like from like that actor's point of view or from the director's point of view, like
Yeah.
what would influence that stuff.
And more from his character, to go beyond the sexuality aspects of him, just his career choice. Because this movie constantly references the future. What everyone thinks the future is going to be, what they want it to be. Do they want to be a part of the future, or do they want to be part of the past? And Sally and Richard both kind of, they're stuck in the past in a way.
Yeah.
Because they love the old TV shows and old movies, and Jenkins is an old-time illustrator, which, in the 60s was starting to get phased out.
Yeah.
And we see him getting prepared for it. He is always like, oh, I think this is my best work. Like, he's always very excited. He's very go-getter about his work. He's very confident. But then, even you're talking about that one shot that you loved, Brian, where it
It's
said,
also my quote, but yes.
oh.
No,
Well,
go ahead and
then
talk about it. No, it's a good. It's organically came up.
On the illustration he makes for the Jell-O, the top of it says the future is here, and then you get the divide between the person holding that in front of him in the shot where he's getting denied his job, and then you realize the future is here in front of you. You're behind it.
Yeah.
You're no longer the future, and that just adds to his loneliness.
Yeah, it sucks because he
He's-
did. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and he's gonna be super lonely now because his only friend has gone off to be a fish person.
Yeah.
I like to think that he becomes really good friends with Octavia afterwards.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. He's got a bit of an
Because
olive branch
Brewster
there.
sucks.
Yeah,
Man. He was just trying to do his best, but Brewster.
yeah.
What was Brewster's best?
He was trying to protect what he could.
No, he's
trying to
just-
get this dangerous, crazy white guy out of his house. He just ripped his fingers off in his
Sure.
living room. Like,
Oh,
Oh,
I would
so
want
gross.
to get whatever I could do to get that guy out of the apartment. Is what I'm
guess.
gonna
because
try to
that would be an
You're
argument.
not gonna beat him.
Yeah.
You're not gonna beat, especially a black guy in the '60s doing what to a white guy? Absolutely not.
Yeah, you
There
lose.
was nothing he could do.
You're gonna get murdered
Yeah.
either by the police or by that guy. There's nothing that you can do.
Which state are they in? They're not in New York.
They're in Baltimore.
They're in
or
Baltimore.
Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah,
doesn't
he
matter.
didn't
It doesn't matter what state
I
you're
know,
in.
but
In the 1960s, you're gonna
didn't
get
really
shot.
try like at all though. It was sort of like he was already like, fuck it. I
There
don't care.
was an
She's-
angry white man
that he
in
let
his
her
apartment.
deal with.
We're hearing all about him throughout the movie, and he doesn't seem like
No,
the best.
correct.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
correct.
Sure.
Correct.
No, I mean the truth
But
is
in
she
the
dealt
actual-
with the white guy.
Yeah.
He did not. So and she's also got this worry about the same shit he does. So
Should we move into Octavia then?
Sure.
Or did you want to move into
I was going to
something
move to Michael Shannon because we were kind of already talking about the guy who ripped his fingers off.
oh
in
my
someone's
god, the
living room.
necrotic fingers. I was so barfy.
That is such a visual representation of his ego. It's so gross. It's so gross, but it is so on point with his ego. It is.
He's still trying to keep them, and they're
Exactly.
black.
That's exactly what he's trying
Everybody
to
keeps
do.
complaining about the smell.
Yeah.
Like, do you smell that?
Just
Right? That's your
lose the
fingers.
fingers, man.
But that
they're gone.
Is the point.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
whole the movie starts with him coming in with his bravado of I am the man of the future.
I only flush once.
I only flush once.
Or
I
wash
I
my
wash my
hands.
hands
Wash your hands.
beforehand. I don't wash them after. That's some character. And he's always talking about
Ew.
his character with the candy and his character is strong. He talks about how loyal he is. He talks about how he delivers and all this. And as the movie progresses, he goes from a confident man with the nuclear family, that everything that a man coming out of the 50s was expected to be and have, and you're going into the 60s now, and he keeps talking about how he's a man of the future, and then and that's also how the guy sells him his car, which is an amazing salesman.
And his family is the family in the poster.
Yeah.
That Giles has been painting.
And
the whole
then
time.
as
Oh,
the
yeah.
movie progresses, he loses more and more. So his fingers get cut off by the monster.
Fishman, please.
Fishman. Amphibian man.
Chewie. Jesus
She
Christ.
dropped a hard M on this show. I
Oh,
can't
shush.
believe it.
I'm trying to keep a train of thought, guys.
This is
Do
why
you even
nobody
like
wants to
this
hire
movie?
fish people as romantic leads, Chewie.
All right. So the amphibian man, because that's what it's called on IMDb.
Fishman,
It's
come
amphibian man on IMDb, guys. If we're going to be correct, we're going to be
I mean,
correct.
that
All
may
right.
be their technical term, but they prefer fish people.
Yeah, jeez. Listen to the fish
He
people.
bites off his fingers.
It's what they want
and
to be
from
called.
the moment he loses his fingers, his ego goes down because he's screwing up. He's pressuring the other doctor into just killing the thing, vivisecting him. And he's getting the pressure from his old boss in the military. He's just like, you need to get this done, son. Do it for me. And then, so then he gets taken. So he loses the monster. He loses Amphibian Man. You guys shut up. And
We're just
then
losing listeners
he
by
can't
the
get him back. And then
We're going to get just blown up on the fish people forums.
On Fishbook.
And so when he's confronting Octavia in her house is really when he's at the very end of his rope, and then he rips his fingers off.
Yeah.
And that's symbolizing his end, essentially. And I'm pretty sure whether or not he ripped his fingers off, I'm pretty sure his entire body was going septic because of them. So he was going to die no matter what.
I do wonder if he was going like legitimately insane at the end. Like was like the
Yes.
rotting fingers like
Yeah,
literally
because
tried-
if
nothing
you have
was
rotty-
going out for him.
You have rotten fingers. Can that make you crazy? Is that a thing?
If your body's going septic, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the most unhealthy you can ever be.
He was also taking a whole lot of medication.
He was
Oh,
taking
yeah.
a whole
He
lot
was-
of medication, and he's dealing with the Russians. The speech he gets from his boss about how you are nothing if you don't come through with this. I don't care about your 13 years of loyalty. Means nothing to me. I will throw you into the dirt, and then it sucked because his car gets destroyed. I lost my train of thought, guys.
Yeah.
But I think you got most of it out. But no, you're totally right. Like it does suck to be him, but he also creates his own problems, like left and right.
But he doesn't realize the most
Yeah.
maddening thing is when he's talking to his boss. Is it a general?
He is a
Like,
general. Yeah.
He's trying to explain. He does a whole speech about how he's a decent man. And that's the worst kind of bad person is the one that thinks that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And it seems that he doesn't understand why everything's going wrong. He doesn't understand why people hate him.
He was doing everything that he felt like society essentially was expecting of him
Like
at
you
that
said,
time.
a man of the 50s. That's
Yeah,
that's
that
what
was
you
going
do.
into the
It's- You're a
60s.
man. And
Yeah.
you prove yourself. It's and it goes
And-
along with what you said about living in the past. It's sort of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's still trying to live. This,
Going into the 60s, the definition of man definitely changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that scene actually when he's trying to convince his general of like, listen, like I've been good up until this point, right? But a man fails once, and isn't that like okay? Like he's kind of transitioning down of like
he's begging.
yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
I mean, aren't I good now? Like, can I just like retire or like just move on from this? Like I failed once, like I did a really good job, and then the general's like, no, you're not. You failed once,
Yeah.
you're nothing, and
You're
then
getting
that
left
kind of
behind.
that throws him back into the past of like, no, you gotta be you. I'm sorry that you suck. And if you continue to fail, you will be destroyed. I mean, the general's conversation was basically bordering on a threat of you will be destroyed, and murdered, and
Socially.
that's it. You're done.
That's really.
And
that's
so
really,
he has to go back even further back onto his word of like, all right, man up 10 times.
That's really
I
interesting.
am Samson.
Yeah.
Because we have each man in the story is like a different version of what it means to be a man. Like masculinity is sort of, they're all finding their own definition, and he's sticking to this traditional, this is what a man is. And Richard Jenkins' character is like, trying to be like, I'm a man too, just because I like dudes does that mean I'm not a man? And then you have a fish man being fishy,
And the Russian.
Yeah.
and the Russian.
And the
it's
Russian
sort of like
who's just trying to be an intellectual.
yeah, which makes sense because the 60s, you're right, was a time when we started to go from like super masculine, like this really strict definition of what it means to be a man, into the 60s where it became more fluid. And then you get somebody like David Bowie and you're like, I don't know. And I think that there is sort of an undercurrent of what does it mean to be a man, because he's so, I'm a man, and Richard Jenkins is, I already said that. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm not going to repeat it.
And it's really sad because Shannon's character is a little bit sympathetic because he tried to be part of the future, and then once you got down to it, when he had to get the job done, he goes full brute violence, which is the very past of a man. You can't get more past than that, where there's no other recourse. You just have to start killing things.
Which is his own doom.
Yeah.
And he brings that on
He
himself.
can't. Yeah, he can't recover from it.
Don't
I
try to
don't
kill a
really
god.
I couldn't have any sympathy for him. Even when he's getting the smackdown from Hoyt, I was like, I think I'm supposed to start to feel bad a little or see where he's coming from, but I can't.
I don't feel
I
bad.
was
No,
fleeting.
I just
Yeah.
said
It's so
sympathy.
fleeting.
Because there's a difference
that's his
between feeling
only
bad for
vulnerable
somebody
moment.
and having some sympathy for their situation.
Yeah, I can feel bad that you put yourself in the situation. It sucks what's coming to you.
Yeah, like you still
deserve it.
deserve this.
Yeah, but you did this to yourself. Like that. It's the you made the bed. You have to lie in it.
You
now.
didn't understand there was other options. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
We have two more people we need to talk about before we start rounding the drain on this one. I'm going to keep with the water puns. We got to talk about Octavian. We got to talk about the Russian guy, Stolberg.
You actually said no pun intended
Hofstetler.
earlier, and I'm thinking that was a lie.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
definitely a
always
lie.
intending.
I intend 90% of my puns.
He says-
I just like saying no pun intended in case people miss the pun.
Oh, you should just say pun
there's a pun?
intended, and don't be a liar.
No, I'd rather be a liar. No pun intended. There's no pun there.
Oh God,
But the fish book one was my best pun of the day.
that was a good one.
Thank you. So Michael Stolberg, or Stolbarg, I don't remember how to pronounce his name. I've heard it pronounced.
Stolberg. But
Stolberg?
The man who had a very good year.
He did have a very good year. I'll tell my personal story of him really quick because I find it hilarious. When I worked at AMC is when A Serious Man came out, which is the movie that propelled him to popularity and pretty much every job he's ever had since then. I hadn't seen the poster for the movie. I hadn't seen anything of it, and because it's Coen Brothers, and when Coen Brothers movies come out, I try to like go media blackout so I could see the movies fresh because I love the Coen Brothers. So I knew nothing about this movie, and he was standing outside a theater waiting to go in for the premiere. And I'm like, oh, did you work at the movie? He's like, yeah, I worked on it. And I had a very 2 to 3 minute conversation with him. I'm like, oh, what are the Coen Brothers like? It's like, oh, they're cool. Totally not knowing who he was. And then after he went into the theater, one of my coworkers came like, how was he? Was he cool? I'm like, Who? They just pointed at the poster, which I was standing next to. The guy you were talking to. I'm like, oh shit. One of my better moments.
That's awesome.
He probably
Nailed it.
really enjoyed that too.
Yeah.
This doofus doesn't know who I am.
Yeah.
Which is probably refreshing.
I have
it's probably one of the
anonymity.
last conversations you ever had like that.
Yeah. I hope he remembers me, but again, like always with these things, I assume he doesn't.
Oh, Brian. Every morning.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about you.
He just wakes up and goes, I remember that guy.
But that guy, seriously, he was in Shape of Water, obviously. He was Call Me By Your Name, and he was in The Post.
Yeah,
Jesus, really?
Yeah, he had
3 movies that are up for Best Picture.
Holy shit!
Yeah, he
Cast that guy.
Yeah, he had a good year. And I didn't see Post yet, but the 2 that I saw him in, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I really enjoy his character in this movie. Like, I like the whole, the fact that he's a Russian spy, like it almost immediately was like, yeah, that makes sense. But like they don't do it in a way, especially this day and age, where they could really lean into the Russian is the bad guy. And like I kind of expected them to take that turn at some point as soon as the Russians were there, because they do still have like the Russians are the bad guys. They want to steal our information, but this guy is a good guy. He is helping everyone. And I feel like a movie made today, it's so easy to go back to the Cold War like way of thinking of like just make the Russians the bad guy. You know, James Bond will come in and shoot them all and whatever. And this one actually didn't, and it made one of them the hero. Like he was the guy making sure that Doug Jones survived. And I thought that was really cool. And I thought he was great.
He lost his life for it. Like, he risked everything. And it was another moment which just got to me, like, tearjerker-wise in my heart, is when Octavia says, "You're a good man, Doctor," and he just looks at her. Because he probably feels like he's not a good man because he is a spy. He's betraying his country. He's betraying so many things. And then she just looks at him and says, "You're a good man." She's so genuine, and he goes, "My name is Dmitri. Nice to meet you." And it's just like, oh my God. Like, this is the one moment of like genuine interaction you're having that isn't overshadowed by a sense of danger.
Yeah. He had 2 moments this year in 2 different movies that like got legit like almost tears out of me. And it was that one, then the moment Call Me by Your Name that I don't want to spoil for people because we're not talking about that movie.
But that also speaks to her character, who like makes everyone feel, even the bad guy, like trusts her, and it's sort of like, oh no, she totally said thank you when she said fuck you.
Yeah.
But, like,
Octavia is a great character because she truly she feels like she's on equal ground with everybody, and she will treat you like that, and it's whether or not you appreciate her character for that or not.
Yeah, but I again, just like with Michael, I think she was phenomenal in this movie. Like she, because she took a role that would be in a different filmmaker's
easily
hands.
Just a side character
or comedic sidekick. Like that's like where her role is usually relegated. And like with Del Toro and with Octavia Spencer, you get a legit, fully dimensional character.
Lines that could have been read for comedy were instead read as if like, I get you. Like she understands people. She's jaded but like sees the humor in it, but not to a point where you're like, ha ha ha. You know, it's more like a disappointed, you know, everyone is such an asshole.
Even the part with them in the elevator when they're coming back to work after they've gotten Amphibian Man out. And she's staring at Sally, and she's like, "That's good. Just look like you don't know anything." And it's gonna be hard for me. I'm not a good liar. And just there's humor but sincerity in that that's multi-leveled that also makes you really scared for her at the same time.
Yeah. And there's moments like that when I watch a scene like that, and I'm like, I'll never be as good a director as Del Toro because I couldn't resist the joke of having one of the people standing behind them going, "What are you guys talking about?"
Did you guys hear about that fish man thing that was going on last night?
Yeah. Which one of you doesn't know anything again?
And to talk about the level of detail in Del Toro's production design with his production designer and set decorator, and how I'm assuming all 3 of them work together constantly.
Yeah.
God, yeah, you must have a great relationship with them.
The next scene when they're punching in and you're behind the other side of the glass with Michael Shannon and the actor from Stargate, Fleming. There's a sign above the punch-in clock that has an X on it. So when they're talking about who stole the amphibian man, and they're like, I don't know, I think it must have been a team of like 10 men. And behind them is them punching in, and there's an X above the time clock. And when X marks the spot, they're right there.
And they look so shady, too.
Yeah. It's such a great moment.
Yeah.
It's so easy to not notice that sign, but the moment I did, I'm like, that's funny. Like, someone went, okay, guys, I got a good idea.
You've mentioned it now. I've watched the movie 3 times. I still forget to look for that moment every time. All right, the last person we have to talk about before we do quotes, we got to talk about Doug Jones. Can't do the whole movie.
Who is he?
He's the fish man or amphibian man.
We didn't really talk about Michael Shannon yet.
He's also playing Saru on Star Trek Discovery right now.
He is like the go-to. Like, you want to put a guy in a rubber suit? He's your guy.
He's super tall and skinny.
Especially in a Del Toro movie.
Yeah, even more so in a Del Toro
Especially
movie.
if you want him to be a fish.
Yeah, but he's also like, if you ever listen interviewed in fucking any show, but that isn't ours.
The nicest man.
He is just wonderful. Like I listened to him, like Chris Hardwick did an interview with him on The Nerdist, and it's just like you just listen to this guy talk, and he's just like, I'm just happy to work, and he's like, I'll work with anybody. I just enjoy what I do, and it's just like
You
that's
look at
awesome.
his IMDb, it's insane.
I have a pair of friends who met him at a convention, and he just like ended up hanging out and getting. Did he get drunk with them? I don't remember, but like they have photos on their Facebook of him just hanging out with them because he thought they were cool, and he was just like, yeah, let's hang out, and they're like now they like chat with him and stuff on a regular basis.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like you look at, say, Andy Serkis, who's been basically revolutionizing the whole like mocap performance, and he's amazing at it. And you look at somebody like Doug Jones, and they're very complimented actors. Like they both do things similar, but whereas Andy Serkis has to try to make enough for animators to go on top of him, Doug Jones just does it himself. They put him in a most likely very uncomfortable suit where it's probably hard to breathe.
Couldn't see in it.
He couldn't see
hear
a fucking thing, couldn't hear anything, and he gives one of the best performances in the movie, and it's all
He's
just
so good at movement.
They did hire somebody else to do the dance sequence.
Oh, okay.
That was a different person.
Oh, interesting.
I just assumed Doug Jones could dance, but no. Okay.
I looked into that. I'm like, is that still Doug Jones? And then no, he did dance double.
Yeah.
I do think for creature actors, there is a part of them that is an empath. Right?
Yeah.
Because they have to communicate emotion and feeling and be able to, feel that same stuff through just their body, just through their motion.
Yeah.
Which is incredible, and you can read that off the screen, like with Andy Serkis and with Doug Jones.
Yeah, and like you go back to like even Hellboy, and it's like he can like he's so good as a fishman. But like you go through that one, and then like even like smaller
Pan's Labyrinth too.
Pan's Labyrinth, he's amazing in that, and like and even little things like he's barely in it, but he's the ghosts in Crimson Peak.
3 ghosts.
Yeah, like he's just so good at the movement and the way that he communicates through it. It's awesome. Is there anything we didn't talk about in this movie that
Butts.
there's a lot of butts?
All the beautiful butts.
There's Michael Shannon's taint. I guess we should give a
Everyone-
shout out to that.
There's a lot of good butts in this movie.
I don't know how everyone misses
when did he
this.
see the?
I don't
when did he see
know.
his taint?
Stop looking at his taint, honey.
I can't help it. He shows it in the movie.
Apparently, you're the only one who's looking at it.
I was looking at his
okay.
butt.
Yeah.
Brian was just looking 2 inches
I
further down.
don't remember
Because
a
I'm
taint.
looking at his butt. I'm like, I feel like
Sex scene.
I see more.
Are you looking?
Why wouldn't I look? It's on the screen. Whatever.
Paying attention to his gross, disgusting hand bleeding on his
I know.
wife's
Well, that's after his taint.
Yeah, that's post taint.
Yeah, that pretty much
Michael
blots out
Shannon's
all tainted images are blown out of my mind when bloody fingers are involved.
I get it.
There's there's another part in his house. There's just so many good detail moments with Michael Shannon's character with his interaction with his wife. Because I even like the later one where everything's falling apart, and she comes in with the Jell-O, and she's like, it's a gelatin parfait. It's new. You're going to love it. And he just looks pissed, and then he leaves the room. Like,
Kind of feels like I forget her name from Truman Show, but in that moment, it's just kind of like, look at this new product.
Well, it's a whole like another
Yeah,
aspect.
Jell-O
of the,
really gets a shout out in this movie.
Yeah.
But it's a whole nother aspect of the future because in the advertisement they say Jell-O's the future.
Yeah.
She brings him Jell-O and he doesn't eat it.
Yeah.
I can't blame Jell-O's disgusting.
Who hates Jell-O?
I hate Jell-O.
It's Jell-O.
Squiggly and gross. Also, did you see National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation when there was like cat poop or whatever in the cat food in the Jell-O?
Definitely did not.
That doesn't mean there's cat poop in all Jell-O.
Well, now we need to serve her some cat poop Jell-O. No, it's chocolate bits.
Yeah,
I was just gonna go and
marshmallows.
just give her actual Jell-O, but if you want to poison her, go for it.
No, I don't like.
It's from a cat,
I
it's
don't
poison.
like squishy dense things, and Jell-O is the squishiest of dense things.
Can you put that on your Tinder? I don't like squishy dense things.
That's basically just like saying, don't try to push rope. Anyhow, I think we should move into quotes.
Yeah.
There's things that we didn't talk about in this movie that I prepared for today.
Cinematography,
There's a lot to
Cinema-
talk about.
sound design. Yeah,
Like there's
just
so
small things.
Ah, yeah,
we've been
sound
talking
design.
for over an hour, and it's like
I want to point out the one really fast where when Michael Shannon's having sex with his wife and the pounding on the bed, and then you cut to them in the amphibian man's room and the pounding of the machinery, they totally lined up.
I like that, and I like that when Michael Shannon is doing the hands of the hip peeing, and he turns to look at them, the pee gets louder. That was pretty great.
Yes, very good sound design.
Grimm, what would you say about the cinematography before we move into quotes? Since we do have a
Good.
cinematographer person here.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's not overstated. I mean, obviously they've worked together before.
Yeah.
And yeah, just looking into it, I mean, the camera lived on a dolly, on a jib, and on a hothead, and the camera is slowly moving pretty much through all shots.
Are there any static shots?
There's a couple, but there's always like a sense of movement through it. So
Yeah.
it's like the camera always had
Almost
the
like
potential.
water.
Yeah, the camera always had a potential to move.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't on a jib and a crane, it was on a steady cam, right? So there was always
okay.
the potential to move in and get something else. And
So
so
there-
there's always just a flow of motion throughout the whole
So there'd be no reason to ever like just throw it in a tripod and just go like, all right, so we're just gonna pan this one.
From what I've seen, I don't really think there was many
I mean, it makes-
planted shots from that.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, short of like car stuff where I'm sure it's mounted in the car, but
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
probably
And that-
why Del Toro has to be so organized, because that takes longer to set that shit up.
oh yeah,
So
Well,
you
yeah,
have to
which
plan
is-
it ahead of time and really know what you're doing if you're going to stay on schedule.
The other crazy thing is he basically shoots chronologically, or at least he shot this movie basically chronologically. And so instead of just getting, but he never, Del Toro never does a master shot.
Right.
Never does, wides and anything. Well, that's what he does. A lot of wides. They shot mainly on a 25 and a 27 for this movie, but it's always moving and going from cut, like, okay, we have coverage from this angle, then we'll move to the next one, and he's cutting this movie. He knows exactly, like you were saying before, is like the visionary that he is. He knows exactly how everything's going to cut, and so he knows that he needs to get this coverage from this, get this line from this angle, and then move to this, and then shoot it chronologically, which is incredibly difficult for a cinematographer, because you'll shoot one scene and then you'll go to another one, and then you cut back to the other scene that you were just shooting. So you have to go back and relight that exactly as it was, because technically you haven't actually left that scene yet. And so a lot of thought went into this.
yeah.
Mostly LEDs, mostly on a dimmer board. A lot of lighting changes. I mean, going from, and obviously the use of color, and going into black and white in a shot, and then going into that dance sequence and all of this. I mean, a lot of incredible thought went into this.
There's a lot of we didn't really touch on this at all, but there's a lot of just straight up like love letters to old cinema throughout the whole movie. Like even with like having like the climax of finding Doug Jones's character in a theater watching an old movie. Like there's just so much of this, and I would meant to harp on it more, but as you're talking about cinematography, it's like I wonder if that's part of the reason why so much of like middle America did not take to this movie, because there's a lot of times when the movie that wins Best Picture, like last year with the first winner being La La Land before the second one came in and actually won. But there's something about like people hate it when Hollywood gives awards to movies that celebrate Hollywood. And this one did it much more subtly, but it still definitely did it. Like there is just like, especially the black and white sequence you mentioned and Chewie mentioned earlier, that dance sequence, it's basically just like, hey, remember when movies were good?
Yeah.
It's nuts.
For me, the entire all of it symbolized how she's been looking for her fairy tale her whole life, and this is a modern day fairy tale movie about her finding her fairy tale, and it's so much symbolism in this movie. It's crazy.
Yeah, we could do another hour on this, and I feel like basically not repeat anything that we've already talked about. There's a lot to dive into.
Color. Just color.
Yes.
Lots of color.
Just so you know, I
Lots of
love the
use of
color
color.
green, so I would totally wrap myself up in her apartment and never leave.
And she gets redder and redder as the movie goes on.
'Cause she's getting
her
sexier.
headband, her
Yeah.
shoes.
Well, that's the headband.
Oh, I
and
love
the
the shoes after she-
That's a stark
Yeah,
change
the
right
shoes
there. That's
was like-
not gradual. That's I just had sex.
Yeah.
That's what you do when you have sex. You wear red shoes.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah,
And then you have a best friend that goes, "Girl,
Girl.
How does that work? Can't trust a man.
even when he looks
Yeah,
flat
that
down
was good.
there."
Okay, so I think it's time to move into quotes.
Quotes.
I'll go first because mine was already kind of mentioned. Mine's not actually a line that's said; it's a line that's read. Just because the first time I saw it, like it's one of those moments where I'm watching the movie, I'm like, "Fuck, I love Del Toro," because it's something that's not said, but it's very much implied. When Richard Jenkins goes to sell him on his corrected ad, because he brought him a beautiful ad with red Jello, like they want green Jello and they want the people happier. Come on back. So he brings it back and he's holding it, and on the top of it says, "The future is now," because the future is supposed to be about green Jello being the future. Like, look, we learned how to diet green. So he's got it, and it's hold it, and you only see in the bottom, like lower third of the screen says, "The future is now," as he's being told, we're no longer doing drawn ads. Like your entire career is not just we don't want it; it's done. This type of advertising is over. The future is now, and it's like, it's just crushing, and it's all done in like dialogue, but through facial expressions and just through that one thing at the bottom, just saying it's basically your career's over.
Yeah.
It's like, oof.
My quote is from Jenkins, and it's part after the amphibian man has eaten his cat. Now, is he a god? I don't know if he's a god. I mean, he ate a cat, so I don't know. I just love that moment.
I love that he didn't get mad at him for eating the cat. Like when we first saw it, I was like, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be really pissed about this, and he's like, I didn't know.
I mean, I would still be
minded.
pissed.
Yeah.
I minded that he wasn't more upset about it. To be
I
honest.
just
He's a
kind of
wild
like
creature. We can't ask him to do
my-
anything.
every
But he could be
person
more
in this
distraught.
movie, except for Shannon and his people, is like an outsider in a different way, and they're
Yeah.
all very accepting about it.
I once watched my beloved dog murder a brand new kitten I just brought home. And I know my dog didn't do it malevolently. I was still pissed at her for a good long while.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so sad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was not the best day of my life. Sorry, everybody. Sorry to bring everybody down.
What's your quote?
How about that quote?
Hope it's a funny one.
It is. Also, Richard Jenkins, whose name is Giles, by the way. Oh God, to be young and beautiful. If I could go back to when I was 18, I didn't know anything about anything. I'd give myself a bit of advice. I would say, take better care of your teeth and fuck a lot more. I think that's great advice. Everybody should be fucking more.
And take care of your teeth.
And take
They're
care of
really
your teeth,
important. Yeah, so.
Very, very important things. Next.
I'm torn between two, but I'm gonna go with the one that doesn't involve what's his name, Richard Jenkins,
That's a good call.
because everyone else has. So I'll go with the car salesman saying to Michael Shannon's character, "You're a man of the future," because we've talked about how it says something about his character, but I think it's more a commentary on society today, and the whole film to me is about the treatment of what we consider others. We have a lot of others in this movie. And I think it says a lot, and it makes me think a little bit about, are you that man of the future, or are you, I guess, the idealized man of the future that, I don't know, is a little more accepting.
I like how she's looking
Yeah.
so deeply into her new husband
Yeah.
right now.
Are you the man of the future?
I do belong in a Cadillac. So
You are forcing her against her will to change her last name.
I'm actually not. It's her.
Let's be honest, I
It
could
kind of
pronounce-
sounds like you are, though.
When you tell me, yes. In reality, not at all.
That's what anyone would say.
Are
Anyhow,
you
what's
a
that?
true ally or a fake ally, Graham?
I'm the man of the future.
What's your quote, Graham?
So I'm gonna go with I forgot his name now. Richard Strickland,
Oh,
The mean-
is it
the
Richard
mean-
Jenkins?
the mean man. Fuck, you are a god. Right before his throat gets cut.
I love that moment too, specifically because there is actually just a hint of reverb on his line where it has that like echo to make it epic sounding. It's
Yeah.
really great.
Yeah, and like that's the whole debate. This whole thing is like, oh, it's just an animal. It's just a whatever. We can kill it. We can cut it up. We can blah blah. And then in that moment, he's like, oh, I've been wrong about pretty much everything in my life.
Everything.
Oof, I think I regret every decision so
Oh,
far. Oh, my
and now
throat
I'm
slashed.
dead.
Oh, and my finger. Ow, my throat.
I've had a bad week. Okay, so review system for this week is going to be Forbidden Love. Any movies about forbidden love?
All right, I'm going to jump on Romeo plus Juliet from 1996, which I love. When I saw that in the theater, the guy behind me, we all know how that story ends.
Yeah.
But the way they cut that, she opens her eyes and he's still alive. And so the dude behind me just goes, just look down at her. And I was like, do you think the ending is going to change? Like,
Baz Luhrmann got real ballsy with that one. Turns out they're okay. Looking around up to you.
Shakespeare got it wrong.
but
That'd
that's
be
a
much better as a
but
good
to
story.
me, that's a
ending.
testament to how good that movie is. That even people who know the ending are still trying to, like, so invested in the story that they're just like
Yeah.
trying to change the characters.
That one's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm going with this one's Forbidden's a bit of a stretch on this one, but it does play a theme throughout the whole movie. I'm going with Scott Pilgrim versus the World, because it's a movie that really wanted to nail style. Like the whole thing was about like I want this world to be realized in this and that and the other, and much like Shape of Water, and that one's all about Scott, who wants to be in love with a girl who's like, I want nothing to do with you. And then obviously they end up together, but that's where I am for that one.
I'm going to go with a movie that's not quite up to par with this movie. Not really close at all. But still had a romance that, in any other regard, should not have worked. And it does end up becoming all about understanding and how the moment you can understand somebody, you can turn around their entire life. Warm Bodies.
Oh, okay.
All you
I was
need
expecting much worse when
No.
you said doesn't hold up
Warm
to
Bodies is good.
That's all right.
Warm Bodies is a good movie, but this is a great movie.
Yeah.
It's just Warm Bodies. It's all about a zombie who realizes he likes a girl. And then you find out through the film is all you need to do is learn how to love the zombie and they'll stop being a zombie.
Love cures all.
Yeah.
Love cures zombies.
It's got a very good message in that movie.
I kind of hate it.
Yeah, next time when there's a so that's the message.
Just
When there
treat
is a
people
zombie
nice.
outbreak, if you just walk up and start loving on zombies,
Just start hugging zombies, guys.
I mean, it
Hugging,
also works in
humping, you know.
it also works in Bob's Burgers for that one Tina
grab-
erotic fan
Yeah,
or friend
grab the
fiction.
zombies' butts.
Yeah, just start flirting with the zombies and you'll have an entire... You don't watch Bob's Burgers?
no, I'm sorry.
Come
Well,
on.
I shouldn't be apologizing. I watch whatever the fuck I want, Chewie. Get off my back about it.
Well, you need to watch.
Have you watched
Bob's
Law and Order or
Burgers.
Grimm?
Shut up,
Or
guys!
Bob's Burgers. Anything else is fine, but just those three. Is really
You gotta make sure you watch those three.
Yeah.
Your life will change.
Oh, Chewie's face.
I watch more stuff than that.
Next.
Like different seasons. Doesn't
Shut
count.
up.
Okay.
I'll go with Monster Squad.
Okay.
It's forbidden friendship between a human and a monster, and it's a little girl
Another
in
hard M.
Frankenstein's monster, and it's the most adorable thing in the universe because she can just barely grasp like his big thumb in her hand, and he gets sucked into the vortex. That's a spoiler, but it's
I've never seen it. I
it's
probably
the best
won't.
movie
Pretty
in the
fun.
universe. I'm pretty sure it's from the 80s because it's when I was teeny.
It is from the
and it
80s.
Shane
was
Black wrote that. Didn't
Shane
he?
Black.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is like, it's a
She
little
likes
kid
Shane Black.
movie, like
Really?
with monsters and a creature from the Black Lagoon. So it also ties in. Written by Shane Black. I don't know if he directed it, but it's
don't
one of
think
the
so.
best movies. in
Brian
the
recently
universe.
showed me how Shane Black recycled his Lethal Weapon 2 script into Iron Man 3.
Ah,
They're the same
awesome.
movie.
Like, Shane Black got lazy.
Yeah, they are the same movie.
I don't fault him for anything ever.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I mean,
It's just kind of
Lethal
funny.
Weapon 2 is awesome,
It's
and
just,
so is Iron Man
purely
3. It
like,
worked
oh,
out.
Shane Black, you didn't get... You just want to redo this.
Yeah.
You know what he said? He's like, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah. I haven't really thought of many, but the only one that comes to mind is Loving,
Okay.
also in the 60s.
Yeah.
Love story, forbidden love.
Sure.
They really love
How
each
so?
other. And that's pretty much it.
Cool.
But
that works.
who's forbidden love?
The man and the woman.
Yeah,
But why are they forbidden?
because they're a different race, and that's not.
I've never
acceptable
seen
on that
Loving.
It was a
planet.
different time.
Okay.
You-
Yeah.
It's a true story
Mm-hmm.
about, I think, was it the first interracial marriage?
Oh, okay. So that newer movie. I thought you said
Yeah.
it was a movie from the 60s.
Takes place
not
in the
in the
60s.
Takes place in the
60s.
60s, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right. So that's today's episode. We'll do a quick round of plugs before we get out of here. You can check us out, athpod.com. We have all of our stuff there, pretty much. Articles, episodes, games, anything like that. We have a new show starting soon. I don't know the exact launch date yet, but I'm recording the first 2 episodes tomorrow. The tentative name right now is The Venture Bros, and that's where me and former co-host Nick Friedemann will be reviewing each and every episode of Venture Brothers
Wow.
from the beginning. And I am stupidly excited to do that because I love the Venture Brothers.
Ignore me.
We're starting with my least favorite episode, which is unfortunate, which is the episode that aired like a year before the rest of them, and it's just not good or funny, but you got to start at the beginning because it's the very best place to start. That's it from my plugs. Chewie, anything to plug?
Not really.
Great.
I mean, say the usuals.
Emily?
My website is finally looking like a real website.
Ooh, is that emilysows.com?
EmilyBlakeSows.com, and you can see my cosplays. And I should be I'm making another one soon that I'm going to do a photo shoot. Once I've done that, my site's going to get real bomb because I'm doing like some cool shit.
Nice.
Nice.
Danielle, Graham, anything to plug?
Nothing but a really cool podcast called After the Hype.
We're
Usually
We're
guests
both on
on.
one of the latest
Didn't you
episodes.
just have a movie come out?
Oh,
She did have a
I
short
got
one.
shorts coming out. You can't see them anywhere.
Oh.
Like you're not allowed to, or
You have to go to the festivals.
oh, okay.
Go to
It might-
festivals.
it might be a
But
thing.
yes, that's an always plug.
Is
Go
there
to
is there a
festivals.
good one? Like a really cool festival that we should go to see your
What
No,
was
we
that one?
just did, what was it, NoHo Cinefest on their horror night. And obviously with any festival, you're going to get a range of not only
Yeah.
types of movies and length, but also quality. But there's always really cool stuff at festivals.
Yeah.
You get to see, it's pretty much everything in the universe.
And you get to meet a lot of the
Yeah,
filmmakers.
and
obviously.
the community is always awesome at festivals because people are just
Yeah.
excited that anyone gets to see their movies on a screen. That they're just happy and wonderful people.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think
it's
it was
all
just,
people that it's a lot of it. It's all self-funded.
Mm.
Typically, if you
Mm-hmm.
go to the smaller festivals, so it's actually people that are passionate about what they do,
Yeah.
whether or not they're great at it.
Yeah, I think the theater was pretty much full, but it was obviously mostly the filmmakers that made the stuff that we're all watching together in a dark room. But it's really cool. It's kind of a
Yeah.
reinvigorating of like, oh man, should I make that? Should I shoot that thing? I mean, and then you meet people who are doing stuff and shooting stuff, and you're like, yeah, why not? I could do something like that.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, without that part,
Yeah.
with just making more stuff yourself and just doing it for the more over the fun of it, and not just to make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just talking about how just
To
to make
afford having
movies
the
and
fun.
things, you have to have them.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
We
Anything to plug, Graham?
I wish.
Cool. Okay, so next week, tune into our episode where we talk Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which should be fun. We have a range of opinions on that one, and I'm very
I
excited to
don't
talk
think we
about it.
have anyone on that hates it.
No, I don't think
There
so.
was a part of me that wanted to find one of those haters, but then I was like, how much yelling do we want to do?
I can literally every dude I have been out with for the past several months hated it, and I'm
Really?
like, yeah. Every time I go on a date, when we start talking Star Wars, they're like, I didn't really like The Last Jedi. I'm like, really, fucking again? Is that my type? Guys who don't like The Last Jedi?
Next.
That is
that'd be the
weird.
best thing to say. I don't like Last Jedi. Next. What do you mean next?
That's a deal breaker,
Shut
man.
it down!
I said, move on, sir. Good day.
Okay, so yeah, check out that episode. It should be a lot of fun. And thanks for listening to this one.
Bye.